Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. And here's hoping that the show is successful today. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the first ever Phone In Friday. I'm going to now attempt to invite a guest. Yeah. Copying the link for our inaugural, sending it to our first ever request. That's the anti-corporatist. Good to see y'all. By the way, I want to acknowledge Patrick Thibodeau holds the title for the true first ever call-in guest. When we first tried this, we did a straight up holding the cell phone up to the microphone, and it was a fun conversation, and it is the reason why such a show has been a desire. That proof of concept, I feel, is worth chasing. So we're going to keep trying a version of this until we get one that works with my internet connection, which appears to be essentially a string and a tin can. But hey, we're going to make it work. In the meantime, while we are getting connected with guests, I thought I would open it up with perhaps my favorite piece of news that I've seen this week. And there's been a lot of good news this week, but here we go.
As I just mentioned, if your calendar was marked for this coming Monday, when President Trump was set to hold a press conference that he promised would exonerate him from the allegations laid out in that Fulton County indictment, if that was a date that was reserved on your iCal, well, then I am sorry to inform you that it has been called off. Trump says tonight that his legal team is instead putting all of the overwhelming.
Yeah, all right. We gotta call folks out at every level when the opportunity arises. iCal. It's still just a calendar. Doesn't matter if it's carved into stone, printed on paper, or on your computer. It's just a calendar. Okay. Sorry for busting Alex Wagner's chops.
Overwhelming evidence in formal legal filings. He adds, therefore, the news conference is no longer necessary. And that news comes right after Trump's legal team in another case finally gave its answer as to when they believe the former president should go to trial. Trump's team is arguing tonight that the federal 2020 election case brought by special counsel Jack Smith should go to trial in April of 2026. That is a whopping 2 years, 7 months, and 16 days from now. It notably comes well after the point in which Trump could be back in office and able to pardon himself or just make this case disappear altogether. And his legal team's justification for this date is classically Trumpy. Remember, if you will, when President Trump first took office and had to prove to everyone that he had disentangled himself from his business interests. And he stood next to this giant pile of folders, there they are, and claimed they contained the evidence that he had signed everything over to his sons. Now, Trump refused to let anyone actually look at the contents of those folders, but hey, it was a lot of paper, it was a lot of folders. And today, the argument from his defense team felt a bit like that. In their formal legal filing, the defense included this graph showing the height in feet of all the evidence Jack Smith will turn over to the defense and comparing that height to the Statue of Liberty and the Washington Monument. You'll see the discovery evidence is a lot taller than both the Statue of Liberty and the Washington Monument. Trump's counsel compared getting through all that evidence to having to read the entirety of Tolstoy's War and Peace 78 times a day from now until December, which honestly sounds like the homework assignment from hell. And they do have a point. It is quite a bit of reading. War and Peace, 78 times a day. That said, we have no idea how much of the evidence provided here will be duplicate information or how much of it includes things that Trump has always had access to, like, for example, the contents of his own Twitter account. Moreover, typically it's not just one person doing all that reading.
Okay, so real quick, the the just work out the logic there. Trump, is there any way, do you think, that Trump's team would have been satisfied with a quick trial? You know, like a timely trial. His argument is that there is so much evidence. There's just so much evidence that the prosecution says they have that he couldn't hope to go through it all by the trial. Boy, that's not a good position to be in, huh? There's just too much evidence, Your Honor. We're going to need a long, long time to figure out whether or not this guy's guilty. There's so much evidence. For the record, that is something, or rather, this is something we're going to hear a lot more about, and they talk about it, I think, in this clip in particular. Just for clarity, the way this works now, as opposed to the way it used to work, is that the evidence is searchable, like an internal database, like Google, basically. So you do end up getting volumes and volumes of evidence just because it is very specifically detailed, because we have the technological means to go through it in detail. But if there was something he was going to object to, for example, if there was a conversation that Trump and his team were going to try to say is not admissible for some reason, he doesn't need to read the entire 100-page transcript in order to say this is not admissible. It's an exaggeration for his team to suggest that it's actually necessary to go through every single word typed into the evidence. This is just the information that is available to the court for the purposes of the trial. We're gonna hear that, I think, probably with every single case he's involved in, because it's just how modern trials work.
It's why people retain entire legal teams to help them in cases like this. Nonetheless, Trump and his lawyers argue that they will not be ready to go to trial until April of the year 2026, which is a decidedly different date than the one proposed by Jack Smith's team, which would like a trial date set for January 2nd of the year 2024, which is well before the presidential election. Ultimately, both of these dates are just suggestions. The trial date in this case is the judge's decision. And at a hearing last Friday, the judge presiding over this case made it very clear that a key deciding factor here, as far as the date, was going to be how Trump conducted himself outside of the courtroom. This is what she said. Quote, even arguably ambiguous statements from parties or their counsel, if they could reasonably interpreted to intimidate witnesses or to prejudice potential jurors, can threaten the process. The more a party makes inflammatory statements about this case, which could taint the jury pool or intimidate potential witnesses, the greater the urgency will be that we proceed to trial quickly. There are a lot of reasons to think that Trump's April of 2026 date is unrealistic, but this, the one outlined by the judge, might be number one. And look at what happened today, for example. Today, Trump and his former Attorney General Bill Barr had dueling interviews. Trump was on Fox Business, Barr was on Fox News, and both of them were happening at 4 p.m. Remember that Bill Barr announced his resignation as Attorney General on the day that the Trump fake electors met all over the country, December 14th, 2020. Trump had asked Barr to use the Department of Justice to do things like name a special counsel to investigate voter fraud and to use the Department of Justice to seize voting machines. So Barr is a potentially key witness here. And Barr has said, as recently as this month, that he will appear as a witness if called to do so. And so, in the hours before Trump's and Barr's dueling interviews, Trump posted this online. Why does Fox News constantly put on slow-thinking and lethargic Bill Barr, who didn't have the courage to fight election fraud? Then, after the interview, Trump reposted Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's claims that Bill Barr is a traitor. Also today, Trump has reposted or posted similar, arguably ambiguous, threatening things about potential key witnesses, including his former vice president, Mike Pence, as well as Georgia's governor, its former lieutenant governor, and its secretary of state. And also today, again, he posted a bunch of videos like this.
How dare low-life prosecutor, deranged Jack Smith, that's right, he's deranged Jack Smith and the DOJ, the fake political indictment against me must be immediately withdrawn. The system is rigged and corrupt, very much like the presidential election of 2020, and we have plenty of proof on that.
Does that kind of stuff count as a type of arguably ambiguous statements that might be perceived as threats? Barb, let me first start with you and the old, but the documents are taller than the Washington Monument defense. Honestly, have you ever seen an argument similar to this one, complete with a graphic showing how the discovery evidence would measure up to the Statue of Liberty?
No, and I have not seen a defendant so desperate to delay the trial that they're...
Also, real quick, just a heads up. If the way this is working, and I'm sorry, I should have clarified this, you got to call on a smartphone, or rather, you have to open your email with a smartphone, and then you tap on the link that I sent you, and allow it to access your camera and microphone while using the app, and that will allow you to connect. Although I want to stress, you do not need to have your camera turned on. This is just the system they use here on Restream, and my less than Grizz's understanding of it, but constantly improving. All right, back to the juice. This is too much fun
asking
for
a
right
date
now.
more than 2 years down the road. It's a really audacious request. It's not only the defendant that has a right to a speedy trial, it is also the public that has a right to a speedy trial. The public has an interest in a reasonably prompt disposition.
Get him,
so
Barbara.
that a person can either be held accountable or exonerated. And there's also an interest in making sure that witness memories don't fade and that the evidence is still available when the case goes to trial. This argument about there are terabytes of documents here is true in not only this case, but in other cases as well. No doubt it will take some time to work through all of this. But no longer is it the world where you sit down with each page and page through it. The way discovery is reviewed today is it is sorted, it is searchable.
I love this, Gail.
The way you would go about a modern computer search and not the way you would read War and Peace at the time it was written.
John Doe, your old boomer Jake. Yep. You got it.
To your point, this evidence will be sort of digested in a way that is not like reading War and Peace. There's also the manpower concern, right? It's not just one lawyer that's going to be tasked with doing that, presumably. But we talked about this last night. Trump does have a weirdly skeletal legal crew assisting him in all of this. I think Todd Blanche, who's representing Trump in 3 cases, is part of a law firm that has 2 lawyers. And the question, I think, at some point needs to be posed, when will Trump actually spend the money to hire more lawyers to deal with all this? I mean, that seems like a necessity at this point, does it not?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time in a big white-collar case like this, you'll retain a firm that has sufficient resources where they can call upon a number of associates or even temporary associates that come on board to do discovery review. And, there'll be a lawyer overseeing all of it, telling them what it is they're looking for, and then the lawyers review that for the kinds of things that they need. So certainly more resources can come to bear than just one lawyer reading each page of the document. And I think what's going to happen is first a trial date will get set, and then he will retain the lawyers he needs to meet that deadline.
When we talk about the trial, whenever it's scheduled, Mark, the reality is that journalists, Americans, other candidates are going to be witnessing the strangest split screen probably in American political history, which is, do we have the calendar? You have the Iowa caucuses on the 15th of January. You have Trump's civil defamation case the same day, Trump's civil fraud case 2 weeks later. The month of March is peppered with caucuses and trials. I mean, this is what
Look at that for a second. That's brutal. Good God. Now, look, I'm not particularly sympathetic to Trump. I don't mind admitting that. But criminy. That's that is an incredibly packed schedule. And may I just add, on Monday, is it Monday? Coming up shortly, Chris Christie is going to box Trump around the ears about 1,000 times. So he is also going to be dealing with an ever increasing amount of pressure from Republican candidates who are learning how to deal with this guy. I gotta tell you, this looks like the beginning of a spectacular downfall, and I can only say that it is well deserved.
This is what election season 2024 is going to be, and it truly is like unlike anything we have ever seen in this country. The fact that the presumed frontrunner is going to be bouncing back, ping-ponging between, pressing the flesh in Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada and South Carolina and going on trial. This seems like the reality that we're barreling towards.
Yeah, no, it does make your head explode in some ways. I mean, what I actually am curious about is whether Donald Trump actually welcomes this. I mean, obviously no one wants to be indicted 4 times and on however many counts. I mean, this is not an enviable position to be in. But when you're someone who's as pathological as Donald Trump is and feeds on the attention as much as he does, and someone who's been so successful in leveraging attention like this, in some cases very negative attention, into political capital, I mean, you have to wonder, could he just be so happy that he's going to be in the middle of all this? And, yes, it's a split screen, but he'll actually be on both screens. I mean, it's a weird thing, and but it's true. I mean, it's what we're looking at, and it feels kind of hellish. I mean, certainly it's fascinating, but it's also, you're right, it's unprecedented. So,
I don't know that I would even use the modifier kinda, maybe just
kinda
hellish.
Yeah. Trying to be.
Ooh, Alex Wagner's enjoying it too.
Possible here.
Yeah, I understand. Respect.
Oh, I gotta say, I have not enjoyed taking in the news quite so much as the last couple of weeks. It's just been real good. Well, folks, we have our first person to successfully connect here. And I'm delighted. Without further ado, I bring you our own wicked Foxy Dragon. Foxy, how are you? There's a non-zero chance that there's a delay. Hello, Foxy. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, beautiful.
And Zoe wants to say hi.
Yes,
Zoe,
please. Zoe, how are you?
Zoe, come. Speak. Speak. Speak.
Oh, Zoe.
What?
That's an OG fan right there.
Speak.
Oh,
Speak.
Zoe. She's a good girl.
Come on. Speak.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as we're doing the interview format, Zoe, what is your favorite snack? Are we talking dry TREATs or what's the deal here?
Oh, she's having some steak right now.
Oh, good Lord. I way underestimated how
like
she's living.
Right?
Yeah.
She eats better than we do.
Yeah, significantly. Well, Foxy, how the heck are you?
I am doing great.
Quick question
it could
on...
be better. Trump could be in jail right now. That would be great, but
that would be pretty neat. I gotta say, we're well on our way.
Right.
Look, it's not exactly a creative question, but it is one that haunts me. In Vegas, are you actually boiling eggs just by holding them outside, frying them on the sidewalk? Oh my God.
You definitely can't. You can actually cook cookies in the windshield in the car.
Well, all right, never mind. That's making lemonade right there. That's fantastic. Every time you enter your car, it smells like fresh baked cookies. I withdraw all my complaints. I'm going to Vegas. Listen. Well, all right.
It really hasn't been that bad here, though.
Good. In terms of recent political events, how have you been feeling watching Trump finally get dragged into court?
It's been a mixture of feelings.
Ooh,
on one hand, I'm excited, I'm happy, but on the other hand, I'm still like, I just think he's going to weasel his way out of this somehow.
That's fair. That's a fair fear to have. I have it as well. Here's my question: Do you think the weaseling will come as a result of the people in charge of busting this guy not trying hard enough, or do you think it will come from a genuine clever move?
I believe that Trump is very lucky. I don't think that he has any plan. I just think that he's very lucky. And I think that people underestimate him as far as that goes and they think they've got a slam dunk, but he could very well convince just one of those jury members that he might not have known this whole time that he lost the election.
True. And he might convince them that is the operative thing. Like, even though there'll be
Yes.
prosecutors saying, it doesn't matter if he believed it or not, he did illegal means to accomplish his goal. But it can't be denied that he has a certain charisma, and maybe. And there's also, I think, to some degree, and I'm just expressing this fear here and now in the context of a call-in show. I'm not suggesting we do anything about it, but to some degree, we have to acknowledge the fact that there are people who support Trump who could wind up on any of these juries that don't actually care whether something was legal or not. They're just trying to pull whatever lever they need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, it really is hard to believe that Trump could be the mastermind of this all. I mean, he really does, to me, seem like he's an idiot. I mean, to think that he could possibly plan it all and execute it in the manner that would get away with all of this is crazy, but he's very lucky.
You were kind enough to send me the actual wording of the charges against him, and it looks, on my understanding so far, it looks like what we are going to see is the prosecutors painting a picture where Trump basically got people that surrounded himself by people that understood how government is supposed to work, and then said, "Break it for me." And I think that will be, the picture will be painted very clearly with the evidence that they have.
True, and I'm hoping so.
Now, when we are looking at the full picture of all these folks we've been talking about for all this time, are there any names that stick out to you as, like, particularly galling? Like, you're thinking, ooh, I hope that guy doesn't dodge responsibility.
I think that Clark, Eastman, Giuliani, definitely. Those guys, they decided they deserve to be right up there with Trump, because I really think that they were probably the ones that masterminded it. He was just kind of there for the ride. It was for Trump, but I think that they were the ones that really kind of put it together and got everything organized.
Absolutely. And let's knock in the chat here as well. Oh, new comments will display here. All right, we'll see if that works. Hey, folks. Also, by the way, Foxy, thank you for helping me experiment with this. And folks, ooh, look at that. It's working. There's going to be a whole lot of just clicking buttons to see what it does. That's the hey, what's up, John Doe? Hello, the anti-corporatist. That's the purpose of the inaugural stream. We're breaking the champagne bottle on this thing. To read,
I got rum and Coke.
Oh, beautiful. There's something in this cup. I'm not sure what it is, but
Uh-oh.
it's making me feel good. Cough syrup. He has 4 cases so far, says Christy Z. He's not walking on all of them. Maybe 1 out of 4, but not 4. That's a real good point. I think, Foxy, you're probably. I mean, I think I just share a lot of your worries, but that does make me feel better. What Christy Z said. There's no way that he finds a juror on all 4 of these, and any one of these huge cases, it's going to destroy his. I was going to say it's going to destroy his political career, and then I remembered it's America in the 2020s, and literally anything can happen at any moment. Exactly. I would think it will do that. Christy Z, Trump cannot get more popular. Wow, I'm going to see if I can maybe change that. There we go. Trump cannot get more popular at this point. He won't gain supporters. In fact, bit by bit, his charisma will fizzle and he and his supporters will fade away. Wholeheartedly agreed. In fact, I think he's going to respond poorly to the pressure at some point and burn a bridge he can't afford to burn. Let me toss this at you. And hey, we got AC there. Sweet. All right. Well, let me toss this at you then as a wrap up question. If Trump cracks, if like under the pressure, do you think he is going to snap at his crowd at a live event? This was, now to be fair, this was a prediction of Bo of the Fifth Column. He said he thinks that's going to happen. What do you think? Do you think he's going to end up yelling at his own folks?
I think he's already starting to do that.
Really?
Maybe not at the audience per se, but he's starting to throw people under the bus. Just like little comments, like if you watched Midas Touch, he's just becoming unhinged in his texts or his truths or whatever they want to call them.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just going to continue to progress as he gets closer to the deadlines of these things. And I do think that eventually he will probably crack, but I don't know, because I mean the people that are going to his rallies, they are like diehard fans, so maybe they wouldn't say anything to make them mad. I don't know.
Oh, it's gonna be fascinating. My personal thought is that he might crack on the vaccine thing. Like he might.
Yeah.
The one thing he ever did that was of any good, he's getting no credit for. And I just, to me, I don't understand how he hasn't cracked yet on that and just been like, you ungrateful. I actually did the thing.
Yep. But he might not be smart enough to think that way.
He might not even realize he did a good thing. One good 4 years, Christ. Oh, I hate that I think you're quite correct. All right, my friend. I'm gonna see what happens when I hang up on one call and start another. Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
We'll see you around. That was Wicked Foxy Dragon, an absolute mensch, and the queen mod of the stream. Related note: I was thinking that mods for Wicked should somehow have a look, like I'm talking 60s mod. It's British culture in the 60s, and I'm only aware of it through parody. But we have somebody else on the line that I would very much like to speak with. This fella's name, his handle, is the Anti-Corporatist, aka AC, aka the Octagon, aka coming at you hot. Anti-Corporatist, hello, delighted to have you. How are you?
Is this thing on?
It sure is.
That's amazing. I actually had to throw down a hotspot with my iPad to connect to with my iPhone because they're on different things. I'm amazed you can hear me at all.
I'm impressed, and you're I just saw your signal spike up in clarity. Let's let it ride, baby.
Yeah, if I start going, do I feel like I do, then we'll know something's wrong.
All right, fair enough. We got to watch out for Frampton, but otherwise,
Yeah,
Uh,
beautiful night out tonight. So when you said look for the mods, you mean like the mods from the Mod Squad in the '60s British look?
yes,
That's
totally. I
hilarious. That is super
I would.
hilarious, bro. That is a great thought.
If you got the mods coming after you, it's gonna be absolutely with the bowl cuts and the loud suit.
Right?
All
I
right.
didn't they make a
So you,
remake of that a little while ago? I don't know. I didn't catch it.
I
So
hope
what's
so.
up?
Well, all right. Here's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Uh, we got to kind of come up with a structure of this, and let's try the ideal one first. If you
Okay.
have anything in particular you want to talk about, just toss it out there, and we'll start talking about it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have nerdy political questions for you.
Okay. So you know what? So there are a couple of things that I've seen covered that I haven't seen make the stream. One of them is Anna actually had, you know, that oh, not Brave New World. What is that? What is that? What are those guys called? The guy that went to the Trump to the Trump event and was actually vibing with those guys. More Perfect
I know
Union.
what you're talking
The
about.
guy from More Perfect
Yes,
Union. Anna actually had him
yes.
on the other day, and they actually had a decent
Really?
conversation. I mean, you know, she's not all bad.
Yeah,
But
there's some
anyway,
redemption
so
there for
so that
sure.
was kind of. Then I don't know how many people heard that Trump and his minions started calling black people riggers, like they rigged the
Yeah.
election. Oh my god, dude!
I
Seriously? And you know what? Lowercase, it actually looks like it's an N.
yes. I said all right. First of all, we didn't have that on because I thought maybe that's just me that's hearing that. Like maybe I'm just getting paranoid. But then a bunch
No.
of people raised an eyebrow, and
I
I
mean,
think you're right.
I didn't hear it directly, but I heard it from I think it was Midas Touch, and I also think it was TYT. I don't know. I
Yeah.
intake a lot of media, and my conservative co-driver for some reason has been up all day bugging me. So but I don't hear any news from him. I just hear, you know, I don't know, whatever I hear.
Oh yeah.
It's fine.
Do you think I'll spoil it. I think it was intentional. Do you think it was intentional? The
Oh, of
similar
course it
sounding
was.
word.
Of course.
Okay.
Well, I mean, with Trump, you never know. You know, I mean, he's an idiot savant. You know, he might have not
Yes.
even meant it that way, and he's all they're just all a bunch of riggers. And someone's like, "What did you say?" And he's like, "You heard what I said, riggers." And he's like, "Oh, hey," you know,
Oh God.
or you know what? Maybe he meant to call him the N word and he typoed. I mean, this is Trump. You know what I mean? He has fat. Maybe because of all of his texts that he sends all the time, it auto corrected to that. It's like he didn't mean riggers. He meant.
Yeah. Yeah. He meant Miles Morales.
It's all. Did you mean? You know.
That I think is the most Trump-like explanation.
I
And
mean, like
yeah.
it could be any of those. We don't know. I mean,
Here's
we know what's going on now, and we know which direction it went, and which direction it was clear that it was always going to go. But oh my God, man, seriously,
I mean,
there's a lot of racists in this country. There
first
is.
of all, Jesus Christ. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
very surprised that they're like. I think if you are not drawn away from the behavior, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I'll put up with that in order to get X and Y tax break that I wanted. That's
Right.
like the definition of like traditional racism. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not. It's not being brave enough to call
Well, and all,
somebody,
yeah.
yeah, a slur to their face.
Well, but
It's
also,
quietly
you
doing
know, I mean, the Republican Party with their Southern strategy straight up said, "Oh, well, I guess we're doing this now." You know, and
Yep.
they played into it, and then Trump super played into it. You know, Cenk, like Anna, isn't right all the time, but when he's right, he's right. And he had one a couple years ago where he was talking to the lady, and the lady goes, "I don't know why you think I'm a racist." And he's all, "Well, do you like Donald Trump?" And she's like, "I love Donald Trump." And he's like, "Well, then that's why I think you're a racist." You know,
I mean,
much like,
yes.
yeah, I'm not saying that he's a racist or that I think he's a racist. I'm saying that the racists think he's a racist. as who was that? Andrew Gillum said that about what's his bucket? The governor of DeSantis. I can never remember his name. Ron
Yeah.
DeSantis. Rhonda.
By the way, there's a side note. Why, as long as we're talking Trump, cruel things to say to people, I would have thought that Ron DeSantis was like
Yeah,
the
super
easiest
obvious.
one. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
right there.
it is.
I
I mean, I think he's accidentally hit on it a couple of times. You know what? I think it's entirely possible that he thinks that his first name really is Rob. You hear how he calls him Rob DeSanctimonious. Yeah, Rob DeSanctimonious. They're like his first name's not Rob.
Oh God.
He's going to be
Yeah.
like, first we had Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee was a good Rob, and now we have Rob DeSantis.
Listen, Bob. Yes.
And everybody's like, you freaking moron. For Bob, he could be like Bob, and everybody's like, his name is Ron. You call him Ronald McDonald. Like, call him anything. Come on, man. Yeah.
Look,
Rhonda. It's not by accident. Rhonda.
He is definitely. First of all, you've got the breath part down perfectly for the Trump voice. It's a little appreciated detail, which I myself am not able to do. It's dead on. Second of all, when it comes to DeSantis, he has the correct amount of respect based on the seriousness of this guy's politics. None of the Republican Party are pitching to their potential voters serious policy. And I think the reason Trump works so well in Republican primaries is that he just treats them with the disrespect that they're due. And I suspect that if we're going to have progressives in like start winning primaries like that, I don't think the answer is to act Trump-like, but I do think it is to take a note from the reassessment, accidental or not, the reassessment of how to handle these folks. Undue respect has to stop being paid.
I really think that we need a populist alliance, and I don't want to be like the Nazbol. What was it? Vouch was talking about the Nazbol vortex, the Nazis and the Bolsheviks getting together.
Yeah.
But definitely, like there's a strong populist movement in this country. If you look at the survey data, 97% of people say we should raise taxes on the rich. Pretty much everybody thinks that that minimum wage should be higher. Everybody thinks that unionization should be higher. Pretty much everybody thinks that union busting should be illegal. I mean, geez, dude. What was it? Amazon spent $8 billion on union busting last year or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually $8 billion, but it was a really ridiculous number. Like, I knew that they've been paying guys like $3,200 a day. For $3,200 a day, I would go pretend to be a union buster, Yeah. I'd be like, oh, but secretly, guy, join the union, Oh, unions are bad. Yeah, okay, the cameras are off. Join the union. Unions are great. I mean, the best figure I heard is that union dues on average are $700 a year, and union members on average make $13,000 more a year. Oh no, pay union dues. Yeah, but what do you get for it?
Couple of thoughts from what you've just said. First of all, if you are in the wicked community and you are looking for employment, may I recommend you get employed as a union buster and just don't work very hard.
Honestly, I don't know how you sign up for that. It might be like BFD. BFD, the garbage men. Everybody says that it stands for let's see, brothers. I don't know. It's BFI. It's brothers, family, and in-laws or something. But basically, you have to know somebody to get into that union because those guys make like $500 a day more if they work a Saturday. I'm sure I'm exaggerating, but they make really good money. But I think union busting probably you need to know somebody. Although there are there's so many grifters on the right wing. I'd like to know how much those guys with what do they call themselves? The guys that were that were supposed to something cyber ninjas. How much
Yeah,
money did the guy with the cyber ninjas make? I mean, anything he made, he should not have made. But
true.
seriously, I mean,
I mean,
some of these clowns just throw money around. You know,
exactly. I think the rich folks in this country like forgot how to hunt, Like
it's
there's been dodos on the island for so long, and I think
well,
we need to just take advantage of that.
it's not even that. It's kind of the same thing that happens with the tech startups. With the tech startups, they'll throw money at it. Well, actually, now that money's more expensive than interest rates are up, there's starting to be some problems with that. But they'll throw money at anything because about let's say every 17th firm they get 100 times back on. So all the rest of them, that's just doing business. Well, it's the same thing with buying off politicians. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys save trillions of dollars in tax for tens of millions of dollars of expenditure. I mean, honestly,
True.
you'd be incompetent not to do it. We
Yeah.
really need to get those laws changed, and unfortunately, because of Citizens United, it's going to probably take a freaking constitutional convention.
It
And
probably will.
Wolfpack is working on that.
Yes, they are. Looping back to the what was it, Nazbol alliance.
Right? The Nazgul vortex.
I do think. I mean, you're on to something when talking about that, and I think the next political challenge for progressives is going to be learning to vote in direct opposition to these folks when it's time to vote, but then working with these folks to get the people we voted for, who again we will have absolutely no allegiance to whatsoever, but to get the different people that we voted for to work on some of the same things.
Well, what it's like those voters at that Trump rally that More Perfect Union was talking to, and the guys were like, "I'd vote for Bernie before I'd vote for DeSantis."
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
I mean,
well down the
and
line.
Bernie was coming out with that message too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
and I do think down the line there will be an
Bernie would have
opportunity for conversion.
beat Trump like a drum either time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Things
crazy.
to think about. I will be the Union Busters Union. Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will.
Right? But I don't know how you would get into one, but I think I'd be interested. I think they'd fire me really quick. But
Yeah.
I'd make a lot of money for just a little bit of
Yeah.
for a little bit of time. I'd make a lot of money, and then
However long training is.
I don't know. My wife would spend it all, so that would be what it is.
Well, brother, thank you very much for joining. I'm going to. I see another regular.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. If this keeps working, by God, we might just do it regularly. I'll tell you, it's been a blast so far.
Oh yeah, totally.
Thanks for stopping by, man.
Okay. Yep.
Baller. That is absolutely fun. Well, we have another name in the queue here that I'm very anxious to say hello to, and I want to thank you again, Anti-Corporatist. That was a hoot. And this other person I see, you may recognize from being also on screen right now. It's Pinkerbell. Pinkerbell, how are you?
Oh, hey.
Groovy. Oh, I love that this is actually working. I shouldn't say that because it will stop. How are you
Yeah.
doing on this phone-in Friday?
I am doing awesome. How are you?
Pretty darn good. Shocked that
Yeah, this whole
that
thing
we are
is
successful.
really neat. Like, I'm glad you put this together. Hi, everybody. Okay. I wanted to talk to you about Texas, if that's
Ooh,
okay.
okay. Please do.
Okay, so I know we kind of touched on it yesterday about Greg Abbott, doing the statewide thing where he's outlawing water breaks that were enacted by like municipalities and cities and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's something missing from the conversation about why he's doing it. And it's not, I mean, yes, he is a demon, like was born in hell demon, but it's not just that you know, that he wants to punish cities, blue cities in Texas, which there are several. He want, and punish workers. Like those are just like that's describing like evil to it when it's really more sinister than that. It's really more of it's Greg Abbott using the will of the state to crush and remind everybody just who runs Texas. And it's the corporations. Like it's the big oil companies, it's all of that, right?
Yeah. So you think there's you think it is a sending a message, essentially?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's especially the messaging around it has been, well, if employers wanted to do that, they can do that like on their own. We're not going to make them. It's not even we're not going to make them. We're not going to let you make them, But and by the way, like the week he signed that, somebody legitimately died from the heat at work.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, these conditions get people killed. There's no
absolutely. Like it's like this is me vibrating with incandescent rage at this because it's like this is the most inhumane like shit that I can think of is happening in Texas right now, and it is like it's a big deal.
Honest thoughts here, and with the understanding that what I'm asking you is just pure speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, do you think that the kinds of brutal laws he's passing now will, like, he'll receive punishment for down the line, either in a court or politically? And then number two, what system would you want to live in? Would you want to live in the one where we say you got people killed, you should have known what you were doing was getting people killed, and now you're going to jail for it? Or would you rather live in the system where the voters say you're never going into public office again, but you're a free man?
Yeah, I mean, I think being, a part of this community, you know the answer to that. The second question at least.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know if anything would happen to him just because Texas is so corrupt. It is so for sale. Like that's why, it's part of why they're ousting the AG right now. He got a little, too messy and too much. You know what I mean?
Good way to put it.
And like how much, like you have to be like hot garbage to get thrown out of office by the Texas Republican Party. Like, let's be real.
Yes, I mean that's it exactly. And the way you put it is just perfect. Like Ken Paxton, it wasn't that he was corrupt; it's that he was messy.
Oh
he
yeah,
was messy.
He's messy. He's embarrassing, and I think what it comes down to, just reading the Texas Tribune's reporting about it, I think it comes down to egos and feelings, really, more than any any conduct over the line, really, because the Texas House published nearly 4,000 pages of evidence for their impeachment trial or whatever, and I mean, it's a lot, but like just reading through it, it seems like it's normal stuff, like corrupt Austin stuff that just ticked off the wrong guy. You know what I mean? Or the wrong set of guys.
That's kind of what is so depressing about it, I think, is like the behavior Paxton was showing was the behavior of, the predator eating the dodos. He's not used to even having to jog for a meal. So
yeah, really.
He's not covering his tracks at all. He's not, but you're right. He just annoyed the wrong people.
Yeah. And and that's really kind of what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to bring everybody's attention to. I accidentally spread misinformation in chat last night when we were talking about this. Paxton's wife is a state senator, but she will not be able to vote on his impeachment. I don't know what rule or law that is governing that, but she's not going to be able to have her vote.
Oh, she's not going to be able to have her vote?
Yes, she's not going to be able to vote.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. By the
And
way, stand by. I wanted to say thank you to editorial with the very kind $10.
oh,
I got to read that message. Uh, there it is. That was another awesome idea. Become a blank buster. Don't work very hard. Yeah, I credit to anti-corporatist for that. I love it. Yeah, I that's a surprise to me. I didn't realize that that had been decided. Good,
yeah.
and credit to credit where it's due to Texas. A rare moment of credit.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
excellent.
know. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add that, by the way, if you want to make Texas just a little bit better and you live there, if you're somebody like Aaron Ra or anybody else who's hankering for actual democracy, then run for office. At the very least, make them have less bribe money to throw around.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Before I jump off here, I just wanted to recommend again the Texas Tribune article regarding the evidence that just dropped in Ken Paxton's impeachment, trial. It goes over, it goes over the situation, and I don't know. I think it's important to pay
I
attention
will,
to,
yeah,
this kind of stuff.
100%. I'll look at that, and I'll tell you, I'm reading it half because it's important to stay updated on it, and half because, there's a dark side to empathy. Sometimes we can imagine the suffering of people that really ought to suffer and just mm,
Yeah,
delicious.
yeah. When bad people get what they deserve, it's
Yep.
like, it's great.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
when
got
corrupt people
we're
get thrown out
we
of
made it.
office, I'll celebrate it no matter how it happens, pretty much.
Absolutely. Well, Pinkerbell, thank you so much for joining, and we'll both laugh at Ken Paxton's political downfall together.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks. And hi, chat. Bye, everybody.
See you around. Y'all, that worked. That actually worked. Now, I like to do a good long show. The show's been getting longer and longer. I don't want to press my luck. Schadenfreude, thank you. That's the word I was searching for. Mars Falcon. Well done. Yes, the Schadenfreude is amazing. But I don't want to push this. This has been Cracker Jacks. I'm going to use this as the template and work on things like putting on an end stream. I will see y'all on Salty Saturday, I hope, regardless. Well done throughout the week. Well done throughout the year. Slowly but surely, y'all, we're restoring sanity to the world with a healthy dose of kvetching along the way. But we'll take it. Thank you for joining us tonight. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and the stream